Let's go! Bryce Young is the SEC's best quarterback for a reason, and honestly, there are a lot of Burrow-esque kinds of things that this man is able to do. His ability to process plays, extend plays, and just his overall calm demeanor in the pocket is nothing short of incredible. And today, we're going to do a film study talking about what I think LSU needs to do against Bryce, okay? Now, you see him completing a deep pass here to Jahmyr Brooks. We're going to break this play down. We're also going to talk about a few things that I remember last year when LSU faced Alabama that I liked and disliked as far as what LSU was able to do defensively. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you right now. So I know you've already subscribed and rang the bell and you're coming to all the live streams. And look, this is honestly some pretty simple stuff right here by Bryce Young. Before we break down the play, sometimes my film studies randomly get demonetized. So a donation or joining our Patreon helps us out. Let's go. This guy is so good at just controlling his body and allowing things to open up. So Tennessee rolls into a deep cover one look. Number one is the deep cover one defender, and it is man coverage underneath. So you have this man, you have this man, you have this man, and the tight end is being covered by this player. So Bryce Young sees that this slot corner is way off of Jahmyr Brooks, and this is a longer developing play. So when Bryce Young sees that this safety right here, who pre-snap was right over here, goes into this deep middle, he knows that Jahmyr Brooks is going to get open right here, okay? So all he needs to do, Bryce Young, all right, is just buy enough time for Brooks to get to this portion. And you notice he doesn't even step up into this pocket. The reason why he doesn't is because he knows he can make this throw fading away, and it's a simple throw, and he just puts it right on the money. It honestly was pretty easy stuff, but Bryce Young just processes the game so well. But the thing I liked about this was actually the route by Jahmyr Brooks. This is something called a stair-step technique, okay? If this DB is playing this far off of you, you have got to sell vertical. And what does selling vertical mean? That means you want to at all times make the DB think that you're running vertically, okay? So watch what Jahmyr Brooks does. Okay, you notice how he takes like a false step to the left, and then he goes vertical and he freezes this DB. So now this DB's thinking, okay, maybe he's not running a deep crosser and he's just trying to go over the top of me. But no, you see how he froze him and created that separation? That is excellent. Excellent route running right there by Jahmyr Brooks, who has been their best receiver on the season. So you hear this term all the time, pass rush lane integrity. What does that actually mean? Well, you know, this is something that LSU has struggled with some this year. I think in years past it's been a little bit worse. But, you know, with Bryce Young, he is a better quarterback when things break down. The same thing is true with Jaden Daniels. The only difference between the two of them is Jaden actually runs where Bryce actually throws, okay? And you'll see him making just an unbelievable play right here, stepping up into the pocket and finding Jahmyr Brooks deep down the field. This was actually a really good tackle right here by the defensive back, Preston. But still, the reason why this play happened is because, well, this defensive tackle right here, I don't know if this was the stunt call. You don't need to come all the way over here, okay? Notice the pass protection for Alabama's gotten better as the season has moved on. What is 93's point of going over here? I don't know. If he just sits right here and just maintains the pocket, maybe 2 is able to squeeze through here and get this sack. But Bryce Young had all this room to operate because 93 left his pass rush lane, and that allowed him to do a scramble drill, big play such as this one to Jahmyr Brooks. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Yes, another room. Before we actually play this next snap, some of you might not even know what happens on this very next play. I want you to guess what does happen. Just give it your best guess. Do you think it's a sack wherever you're watching right now? Do you think it's a potential 5-yard gain? Whatever the case may be, this is part of the issue when you defend Bryce Young, okay? You don't know how a play is actually going to end, okay? So Mississippi State decides to get exotic up front, all right? And it looks like they're going to bring some variation of pressure on this 3rd and 8. I'll tell you that. It's 3rd and, I believe, 10 exactly. So actually, everybody bails out, and it is a rush 3, drop 8 principle. And Mississippi State is in what's called quarters coverage, okay? You're responsible for this deep fourth, you're responsible for this deep fourth, you're responsible for this deep fourth, and you're responsible for this deep fourth, okay? It could also be cover 3 where he's just sitting right here picking up any scraps, and he's responsible for this deep third, he's responsible for this deep third, and he's responsible for this deep third. But honestly, nothing's open, okay? This is a 3rd and 10. Mississippi State calls a good play, and, well, this isn't a good play because rushing 3 and dropping 8 versus Bryce Young is just not smart, especially when one of your rushers actually falls down. So now Bryce has all day to relay this. Okay, we get a double team right here on this guy. 44 gets up, and now he's getting pressure, but he still's got to bring Bryce Young down. Harold Perkins being this guy is going to be fast enough to bring Bryce Young down, but even then, it is still tough to bring him down. So notice we are already, 5-ish seconds into this play, and now nothing is still open. This guy is still defended, 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 okay? There is quite literally nothing at all open. So Bryce Young decides to play some backyard football, okay? He sees that JoJo Earl back here is being defended by this player. He tells him, hey, twist back into this space. And guess what? That's what JoJo Earl does, and it is an easy touchdown. So if you rush 3, drop 8, cover everyone, who cares? It's Bryce Young. He's going to make a play, and that looks as simple as it gets, okay? Now we go back to the Tennessee game right here at 2nd and 19. Man, this is just you can't play the quarterback position any better than Bryce Young plays it here, okay? This is a slot fade. This is a play that we've tried to work versus Tennessee. This is honestly just really good film study from the Alabama Crimson Tide coaching staff, because if you're going to play press, slot fade is going to be there. We just didn't hit it versus Tennessee at all. And honestly, Bryce Young sees that this safety is right here, middle of the field, so he knows this deep portion of the field is going to be there. But look at this dime. Slot fades are tough to throw, and he puts it right where it needs to be. I mean, you just could not throw the football any better than that. All right, quickly, you guys know how much I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He's just a really talented runner, and he's probably LSU's toughest running back that they're going to face this year, okay? Right here, if you're the contained defender, this guy is different, okay? It's hard to avoid the Alvin Kamara comparisons. I mean, they run very similarly, and they both wear that that turf tape. If you're the contained defender, look, this is actually stuffed really well. Okay, they reestablish a line of scrimmage. They get some penetration. Everybody's in their gaps. So if he bounces this, we need our athlete right here that's the edge defender. This is going to be Jay Ward. This is going to be potentially Major Burns to step up and make this tackle. And, well, he misses it, okay? That's a huge, huge miss right there. And obviously Jahmyr Gibbs, it's nasty, okay? Good blocking down the field, but he reads that this player, is releasing to the inside. He bounces it again, and he's walking into the end zone. I mean, that's just filthy, filthy, filthy running back play. So let's talk about this play right here. This is simple quarters coverage, something that Tennessee doesn't do a whole lot of, but it's something that Brian Kelly brought up in the post-game press conference. LSU's, defense versus Ole Miss, they were playing so far off of the DBs, and this is the danger of doing that versus Bryce Young. He just is surgical whenever he's playing defenses that just allow him to sit back there and do whatever the heck he wants, okay? So everybody's sinking back into their zone, and this honestly is a simple read right here for Bryce Young. He's reading this linebacker right here. If this linebacker comes and defends Jahmyr Gibbs in the flat, he throws a lot to his tight end, who's actually tripping, but the ball is just right there, and you see how easy that is. I mean, I know you're down by 14, and you don't want to, give up an explosive play to get him back into the game, but that is something, LSU has struggled with versus Florida State in particular, where they just allowed you to just get free 15-yard plays. So let's talk about some things I would like to see LSU do versus Bryce Young, right? So in this spot, it's 3rd and 7, okay? This is a spot defensively where you want to be very aggressive, okay? Because Nick Saban, a conservative coach, when it comes to 4th down decision-making, we don't want to give up anything easy because if we are able to get a stop, they are going to punt the football. So let's go all out and defend this 3rd and 7. But that is what Tennessee decides to not do, okay? Because we are playing such soft coverage on Alabama's 4th best wide receiver right here, Kobe Prentice. He's a good player, not a great player, though. Why are we playing so far off? Get in his grill. This is too easy for Bryce Young, okay? He says, okay, look, you're going to play off of our guy right here and play man coverage and give us this wide open middle of the field. I don't mind the exotic blitz call here. They pick it up fine. I do think Alabama's tackles can get bull rushed. I do think that is something that, can work, especially with some of our more athletic players. But that's just too easy right here on this 3rd and 7. Get in their grill and make them have to do something that isn't pitch and catch for a 1st down, okay? Also, this was something else LSU did a lot of versus Bama's receivers. The worst depth I think a defensive back can play is 7 yards off, right? Because you're flat-footed by when the receiver comes to get you, right? Press is obviously something that can get you beat over the top. I totally get it. But right here at this length, when it comes to man coverage, I just hate it because the DB is just so flat-footed in this spot. So I don't want to see 3rd and 7s against their receivers who are decent, but not Jameson Williams good. Make them have to pick up the yards. So once again, here's one of these Bryce Young plays that, as a defense, there's really just not a whole lot you could do about this. He's going to have some of these kinds of plays. What you just got to hope for is they're not deep touchdowns like you saw earlier with the JoJo Earl play. Okay? Good job by the defensive end to get flat, to not give up this contain right here on the 2nd and 10. And Jermaine Burton, who's only fears, a tri-delta, he's wide open here. Okay, so Bryce Young sees that this middle of the field is open. He makes this guy miss, reestablishes his feet, and then he delivers this ball right here to Jermaine Burton. Let's just make sure we bring him down. Okay, that's working really hard to gain 15. So I'd rather LSU do that instead of just, give up 15 easy ones. All right, here's my favorite Bryce Young throw of them all. I mean, they are bringing a jet sweep motion, and they're selling a run to the right, okay? So you get a lot of action, all right? This safety is being run over by this jet sweep motion. We're pulling right here, and we're getting this linebacker to bite. But everything is still covered, okay? But Bryce Young knows that play action fake brought this linebacker up, and this is where the open portion of the field is going to be. Okay, so he's rolling out to the right, and he's trying to find somebody open. Once again, take a look at this ball placement to his tight end. I mean, there's going to be plays like that. He makes it. There's just nothing you can do about it. Boom, looking at you. Yes. So what are some things that LSU needs to do? Well, first thing is get home with 4. I feel as if the offensive tackles for Alabama struggled more so on the road than they have at home. And this is one of the rare examples of rushing 3 and dropping 8. This is actually something very exotic right here, okay? Alabama on this drive had been killing, Texas with these, running back checkdowns. So they actually doubled the running back with the end and the backer. And everything is just doubled right here. But the one-on-one matchup was won right here by number 18 from Texas. I think Ojulari could have a chance versus Steen and Latham. These are 2 really good players, okay? But I do think you can get the edge on them and get pressure, okay? This is a really good job, just bending up. He also wears that BJ Ojulari number 18 uniform, and they're able to get the sack. But the key as well, if they did the rush 3, drop 8, everybody maintained their feet, and everybody maintained their pass rush lane integrity. So this one also early in the game. Once again, this is a faster, athletic player rushing the offensive tackle for Alabama, Steen. and he just destroyed him. I don't know what Steen was doing. This is one of the worst sets you'll see an offensive lineman take. Bam! Violent, pushed him right back into it, and that is just a nasty rush. And if you're Harold Perkins and you see that, I hope that motivates you to go out there and make some big-time plays, because this led to an Alabama punt to start the game. And you know what happens when you get good early pressure in the game? It's loud. It's boisterous. You're giving them an exotic look right here. You're bringing emotion. Play clock's running down. It's hot. Well, it won't be hot Saturday night in Death Valley. It'll be, I don't know what the temperature is going to be exactly. But still, you'll see right here a pretty big false start penalty happens. And you see he's out of his set that quickly. And that's what that will do to your offensive line. All right, but it's 3rd and 12. Okay, are you going to take advantage of these penalty yards? Well, no, right? You allow Bryce Young to play pitch and catch. And here's the funny thing is they were actually able to get some pressure right here. Alabama's gotten better at this as the season moved on, but this is a very exotic twist stun, okay? He's coming here, and this end is coming all the way around. It takes a while for this to actually work, but it does, okay? So we're getting unblocked A-gap pressure, but the issue here is, well, it's easy pitch and catch. We don't want that, okay? If it's 3rd and 12 and they're backed up, especially against their tight end, we don't want to be playing 15 yards back in that spot. The Alabama actually dropped this next play for the basically the win versus Tennessee. It is an angle route right here by the running back, okay? Bryce Young sees that this linebacker's blitzing, and this play, if any of you used to play Madden growing up, was unstoppable, okay? Running back acts like he's going here, but he angles back to the inside, and that's just, easy pitch and catch right there. Jahmyr Gibbs, such a talented receiver, and Bryce, of course, throws a good ball right there. They're going to try and do that on Greg Penn and Micah Baskerville, no doubt about it. And, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs, of course, is a really, really, really talented player after the catch. So Bryce Young actually ran a lot versus Texas for a lot of first downs. Since then, he's not done a whole lot of running, but, this time Texas brings a corner blitz. They're driving to go kick the game-winning field goal. There's less than a minute remaining. You make this play, it's huge, okay? And he just kind of ducks it. I mean, it's just amazing how good he is at extending the play. Once again, he knows it's man coverage everywhere. So if that's the case, was that a hold right there? Of course, they're not going to call that on Alabama. Look at all that space for, Bryce to run into right there. So, very, very, very interesting. One thing I will say, if I am LSU, if you feel like you are getting held, I know this is a little soccer gamesmanship right here. Flail your arms up in the air, okay? Sometimes they'll not call if you have your hands inside the shoulder pads like that, or if they're right there, okay? Sell it. Flail your arms. Draymond Green flop to the ground. Alrighty, so let's do one more run play. Obviously, Bryce Young isn't in the game, but, some of you are pretty familiar with Alabama. Jalen Milroe is their backup quarterback, and he is just a completely different quarterback. He is truly a special runner. Think Jaden Daniels, but he's a little bit more of a tank, if you will. But Milroe is a very, very, very special runner. But this is something that LSU can't have happen, and this actually happened twice on Arkansas. Gibbs had another 70-yard touchdown run, and let's take a look at it from the reverse angle. So as you'll see, LSU transfer Dwight McGlothern almost made the tackle to save it. So Jace McClellan's a really good backup back for Alabama. He had an 80-yard touchdown run versus Texas. And what's very interesting for Alabama is versus Mississippi State, they could not run the football at all. They only average 1.7 yards per carry. So while we did break down a lot of Mississippi State plays, in Zach Arnett's defense, a lot of his defense only got beaten by special play extending really good plays by Bryce Young, as you saw a little bit earlier. They were able to stop the run. The key, though, is stopping the explosive runs. Those are the ones that actually kill you. And honestly, this play was very intricate. So you don't see it here to the left side, but they fake a wide receiver screen, and that actually drew this safety over here, Blair, okay? And right here, you'll see the outside contain over pursue, and there is just nothing. So you see 42 Sanders, who used to play for Alabama, is getting pulled over by the wide receiver screen action, as is the safety right here. So if you're going to play like this, you got to tell your safeties to keep their eyes on the football before they actually play the wide receiver screen, because we lose this player to potentially make this tackle. So now this outside zone play, Gibbs is just waiting for the hole to open up. He sees that it's dirty over here, so he sees a cutback angle right here. And the corner, all right, you don't see him either. He actually should have stayed deeper because he had outside contain responsibilities. The issue versus a back like Jahmyr Gibbs, who always wants to cut this back, is if you're, playing contain and just coming up the edge, you open up all this space right here. Good job by the center to wash out Bumper Pool, Arkansas's best interior linebacker, and now it's just off to the races right there for Jahmyr Gibbs. And you can't do that. LSU, of course, has given up some explosive rushing plays when they've done just that, over pursuing. We did it in the film study versus Mississippi State and against Florida. Those outside zone kind of run plays could be a killer if LSU does not fill their run gaps properly. Once again, I just don't like giving. I mean, this has been the bread and butter of Saban teams, just slants to really good slot receivers. So once again, it's Prentice. I would prefer to play Prentice tighter than this. And, their safety, Slusher, had a rough day. And that's just an easy pitch and catch tutty right there. And the one thing Alabama does a really good job of is if they find a matchup that they like, they are going to drill that matchup into oblivion, okay? Arkansas likes to run this three safety look. This is something that Ole Miss did to no avail versus LSU. And honestly, Bryce Young is going to attack Slusher again on a deep pass. And as many of you know, you saw it versus Ole Miss. They weren't able to connect on it. But we have gotten beaten over the top by Florida, by Tennessee. It's going to happen. You just don't want it to be this easy, okay? And, if you're Bond, you'd like to keep your feet and, actually score. But still. Now, as you guys have seen today, and this is something you expect of a team like Alabama that recruits at the level that they recruit. They are very solid across the board, okay? And I'll put it this way, right? They have always had elite running backs. You can't point to a team. Last year, you could make the case Robinson wasn't an elite game-changing back, but pretty much every other year, Alabama's going to have at least one Jahmyr Gibbs type of player, and he fits in really well with what Alabama wants to do, okay? So obviously, Alabama at running back is just nothing short of incredible. Their offensive line has had good moments. They've had bad moments. They've done better at blocking stunts, as you see right here. I mean, just look at that. That is just gross what they did to the stunt right here. I mean, everybody's just washed up. You allow Bryce to step up. And obviously, he just knows, I just got to chunk this ball into this space right here. And he did it while he was getting hit. You look at Bryce Young, you run out of superlatives. You really do. I do think he is the best college quarterback since Joe Burrow. And I'm not just saying that because, he won the Heisman last year. You're probably like, oh, well, no duh, right? But no, he's the best since Burrow. And I do think he is better than the Hendon Hookers of the world, the C.J. Strouds. What he has been asked to do in this Alabama offense, once again, Bill O'Brien, the play caller for Alabama, I think he's fine. But I do think a lot of what Alabama has done this year is just Bryce making plays. So what does LSU need to do versus Alabama? Well, there was a legendary defensive performance from this group last year versus Alabama, obviously holding him to 6 yards rushing. But I do think there is a big flaw in looking at last year's performance to this year's performance. Obviously, all the players are mostly different. All three of these receivers are gone. This running back's gone. This all-pro left tackle's gone. So, it's different. And obviously, there's a lot of these guys now gone. So what LSU had a lot of success with is zero pressure, right? Where they blitz everybody. I am perfectly fine with that, but the issue here on this 3rd and goal was LSU gave Bryce Young easy safety reads, okay? So what they're doing is running a deep crosser, and pre-snap, we decide to bring our both of our other DBs to the line of scrimmage, and we pre-snap told Bryce Young, hey, this portion of the field is wide open. So even though we were able to generate pressure right here, Bryce Young, like you guys saw a little bit earlier, was able to give ground and just allowed this receiver to clear out into the space. That is too easy. That is really bad defensive coordinator play, okay? You can't give away what you're going to do defensively and just tell Bryce Young, hey, there's no safety over here. We're just going to allow you to just run free into this spot right here, okay? So that right there was a really Durante obviously called it a great game overall, but the one thing I hated was pre-snap. His safety placement was really poor because it was just too easy for that read right there, okay? And it was, I know it's going forward and backwards because, Herb Street's doing his thing, but you see how easy that is right there? Tutty. So the truth about Bryce Young, obviously, is he is really special, but there are some things you could do to him, right? I do think LSU could get some zero pressure looks towards Bryce. It gave him all kinds of fits last year. I would caution against that, though, because, look, LSU did force Bryce Young into his lowest QBR versus a Power 5 team, 61.9, which really isn't that good. But keep in mind, the LSU defense had not shown the schematic diversity that they showed versus Alabama all year long. So Alabama went into that game really not having any clue that LSU would switch things up. Boom! So, before I give you this final nugget, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you subscribed. I hope you consider, dropping a Venmo Cash App because, of course, these do get demonetized. I will give one final nugget, but really quickly, I'm going to give you a few extra players that I would consider subbing out. I think there are a few players on LSU's defense whose style of play could get exposed by Alabama. Those players are on our Patreon page, patreon.com/LSU football. I get into deeper detail, about what I would do versus Bryce and a few extra little things that I've seen just watching him. But this one final nugget is this, okay? Kind of like Joe Burrow, the truth is there are some players that play so well that you can't really do anything against them. And the truth is, historically, when you play Alabama, your quarterback is going to have to play phenomenally, okay? So the bottom line is this. Jaden Daniels has got to play spectacular football for LSU to win. Now, I'm not saying he needs to just absolutely burrow up the scoreboard, but he's got to make plays, right? The truth is, Texas probably beats Alabama if Quinn Ewers was able to stay healthy and continue to play at the level that he started playing that game at, right? Zach Calzada when they beat them last year, Hendon Hooker earlier this year. You need phenomenal quarterback play to beat these guys, especially – I was a little burp right there, especially if especially if Bryce Young is continuing to play at the level that he's playing. So the bottom line is, no matter what I tell you here, the truth is Jaden Daniels has got to play phenomenally. And one little extra nugget here, Alabama special teams units have had their hiccups, if you will. They have made some massive mistakes, and that's key, okay? And those mistakes oftentimes have come on the road. Special teams errors allowed Arkansas to get back into this game, and the special team error versus Tennessee was massive. They muffed a punt. We've seen how much that can swing games in LSU's case. So, yeah, it's going to hopefully be a fun day for LSU. So sometimes your best defense is just killing it in the other phases of the game as well. So comment down below if you think Bryce is the best quarterback right now in college football. Let me know what you think. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And tonight, we're doing chimichangas. Let's go!